So, what happens when a creator's #1 fan becomes their #1 nightmare? We're about to dive in to that terrifying relationship, exploring the ultimate story of artistic captivity, Stephen King's Misery.
You know, this quote perfectly captures the ordeal of best-selling author Paul Sheldon. He's about to stare long and hard into an abyss, and he's going to find out that the abyss is a person, his biggest fan.
All right, so our story kicks off after a truly horrific car crash in the middle of a Colorado blizzard. Paul Sheldon, who's a really successful novelist, wakes up and he's just in a total haze of pain and confusion.
At first, it seems like a miracle. He's been pulled from the wreckage, and who's caring for him? A devoted reader who just happens to be a former nurse. She's tending to his 2 shattered legs in her totally isolated farmhouse. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Pretty soon, Paul's entire world just shrinks down to one single thing: his pain. He has this image of it like a rotten wooden stake jammed into the sand, and his only relief is this powerful painkiller called Novril. The thing is, that relief comes in waves, and he better believe Annie is the one controlling the tide.
So that initial hope he had, well, it starts to curdle into this terrifying new reality. That feeling of being rescued just melts away, replaced by the horrifying understanding that he's not a patient here. He's a prisoner. The fan doesn't just admire the creator anymore, she owns him. So who is this rescuer anyway? Well, this self-proclaimed #1 fan is not at all what she seems on the surface.
And you have to remember, Paul's a writer, right? So he sees her not as a person, but as something else. This solid, blocky figure, almost like an idol carved out of stone. There is nothing soft about her, and he gets this really unsettling feeling that she's just pure, solid flesh from one side to the other. She's a character he just can't read. And it doesn't take long for the red flags to start popping up. We're talking about these violent mood swings that come out of nowhere. One minute she's caring, the next her face just goes completely blank, totally empty. Her obsession with his character, Misery, is, well, it's unlike anything he's ever seen. It isn't appreciation, it's possession. And this is where things really ignite. The central conflict kicks off over the one thing that connects them, Paul's life's work. You gotta understand, for Paul, this was a huge moment of artistic freedom. He just finished this gritty novel called Fast Cars, which he believed was his true masterpiece. And to celebrate, he'd finally killed off Misery Chastain, the romance heroine he'd grown to despise, even though she'd made him famous. And in his head, he was celebrating. He was overjoyed to finally be free of this character who had in a way become his own prison. He thought he was done with her, and the expectations that came with her, forever. But when Annie finishes reading that final Misery novel, her adoration just shatters. It explodes into this pure, terrifying rage. For her, this isn't just a bad ending. It's a deep, personal betrayal by the creator she thought she knew. Okay, so Annie's rage, it doesn't just stay rage. It gets calculated. It transforms into this act of psychological torture designed to punish Paul for what she sees as his literary crime. First, she just disappears. For 51 agonizing hours, she leaves him completely alone, letting him suffer through unbearable pain and Novril withdraw. It's the cruelest way possible to show him just how completely she controls his entire reality. And when she finally comes back, it's not with medicine. Oh no. She brings the instruments of his next torture. She gives him an ultimatum: his art or his relief from pain. The choice every creator dreads is now his. And it's very, very real. And she doesn't just do it to him. She makes him participate in this horrifying ritual. He has to light the first match himself. It's this twisted, symbolic cleansing where the fan forces the creator to literally burn away the art she doesn't like, all to purify him for her own tastes. But here's the thing. Burning his masterpiece, that wasn't the end. Not even close. In fact, it was a twisted new beginning. Just think about that for a second. In a single afternoon, the novel he believed was his legacy, the only copy in the entire world, is gone. 2 years of his life, his artistic freedom, just turned to ash because his #1 fan didn't like it. So, what now? His best work is destroyed, his spirit is just completely crushed. What else could his captor possibly want from him? I mean, hasn't he been punished enough? Annie gives him the answer without saying a single word.
She brings in this heavy, old royal typewriter and just places it in front of him. Her demand is perfectly, chillingly clear.
Paul Sheldon isn't just a prisoner anymore. Now he's a tool. His creativity has been completely hijacked. He's being forced to resurrect the very character he thought so hard to escape, all for an audience of one. The abyss has looked back, and now it wants a rewrite.